Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
And I'm Jessica.
So, a bit of a disclaimer before we go any further. Normally, during Easter, Wednesday would be a Mike Wilson day. You would be seeing Mike. But unfortunately, due to technical circumstances beyond all of our controls, Mike is not able to film for the present future. Mm-hmm. So, for the remainder of Easter, and at least going forward until such time as we can all get back together in the Popish Plot studio here and film together, Jess and I will be carrying the load of the production.
Yes.
But Mike is fine. Mike is well. It is simply his camera that is being not so nice. My notes for today say that since we had to come up with something kind of on the fly, on short notice, that we decided we were going to be talking about the saints of today.
Yes. If you click through the link on, I believe it was the second part of our Killing Time one, we discussed about how it was the feast day of Saint Bede the Venerable, and we had an episode in which we actually talked about him.
Okay.
And during the actual episode, we pointed out that today would have been his feast day, except for it was already the feast day of St. Augustine of Canterbury.
Right, okay. So we're doing an episode on St. Augustine of Canterbury.
No. I decided to do an episode on all those saints that weren't, famous enough to get their day moved so it didn't clash with this other saint.
So what you're saying... Okay, I see what you're saying. So basically, St. Bede had the day, but they wanted St. Augustine to have it, so they moved St. Bede. But there were all these other saints.
Well, St. Augustine had it first.
Fair enough. But nonetheless...
But they moved Bede because he's a poor enough one. We need him to be like the head saint for that day.
They gave Bede an alternative day. However, there were a whole bunch of other saints who also had feasts or memorials on this day. And because St. Augustine is so much more notable, mm-hmm. They just kind of get lost to the echoes of time.
Yep.
Okay.
So, the first one I found was Saint Bruno, and I'm going to have Nate pronounce the German.
He was Saint Bruno of Wurzburg.
Yes. However, we're not going to talk about him because one of the main things I found is that he helped the Emperor Henry III fight the Hungarians. So, he died when a building fell on him. Next saint.
Next saint, all right.
We actually have two saints with almost the same name for our next saint.
Okay.
We have Saints Barbara Kim and Saint Barbara Y.
Okay. I'm guessing these, at least one of these being from perhaps the Asian...
Yes, they are both Korean. And I'm probably mispronouncing Y. It's a Y and I.
It
might be E.
I gotcha.
But anyway.
We apologize for all those of you whose language we are choosing not to slaughter today.
I don't know anyone who is fluent with Korean so that I could ask them.
That's fair. I'm just saying, you know.
But anyway, so the first Saint Barbara, she was a married woman who was imprisoned and left to die due to her faith.
Okay, so martyr.
Yep, she ended up dying because there was a plague going around.
Gotcha.
And the second Barbara was a 14-year-old girl who appeared to have died at the same prison from the same stuff on the same day.
So another martyr in all likelihood.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They were both canonized on May 6 in 1984 by Pope St. John Paul II. And they're also remembered on the Feast of All the Martyrs of Korea, which is September 20th.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense. Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. So the next one we have, they're actually blesseds. But they were all martyrs too, so we have... the Blessed Richard Holiday.
What a fun name.
John Hogg.
Another fun name.
Richard Hill.
Yeah.
And Edmund Duke.
Okay, so the first two, fun names. The second two, kind of ordinary-ish names.
Yep. And they were all priests in England.
I'm guessing they were probably priests in England at a time when it was tough to be a Catholic priest in England?
They were during the reign of Elizabeth I.
Really tough to be a priest and a Catholic priest in England during the reign of Elizabeth I. We'll have to do an episode on that someday.
Yes.
I kind of want to have a priest hole in our house.
But we'd fill it with other stuff. It'd become like an extra linen closet or something. And then when we're trying to hide a priest, we'd have to move all this stuff.
That's fair. Yeah, okay.
All right. And they were all hung in Durham, England.
That would make sense because they were Catholics.
Yes. On today's date in 1590.
Okay.
And they are also all honored on other days with pretty much all martyrs in their grouping. So they're also part of the Martyrs of England, Scotland, and Wales, whose feast day is November 22nd.
Which also appears to be the day that they were beatified.
Yes. They were beatified on November 22nd in 87.
87. By once again, Pope St. John Paul II.
Well, yes. Yes, I mean, anyone who's, beatified from,
From late 70s on until early 2000s, yes.
Well, he had, a very short time in the 70s that he was, Pope.
It was very late 70s, yes.
Yes.
I understand.
All right. And then the last one I have is another blessed.
Okay.
Matthias of Nagasaki.
Okay, so in all likelihood, this is a Japanese saint.
Yes. It is.
Or a really curious, or a really good lead-in for this background story on how they got that name.
No, he was born in Japan. He was Japanese. However, he was a Japanese Catholic in Japan during
that like 250 years
in
when
which it was illegal.
It was really bad time and place to be Catholic.
So he was an actual lay catechist, because that's all they had was lay catechists by the time he was around.
No priests.
Mm-hmm. And he was not beatified by St. John Paul II.
Oh, really?
Because he was beatified on May 7th in 1867 by Pope Pius IX, who I also believe is blessed.
Wow, okay. So he's been blessed for quite some time then.
Yes. And he, like most of the other ones that I mentioned, have a secondary feast day that he shares with a lot of people. In this case, 205 people who were martyrs of Japan. And their day is September 10th.
All right. So those are saints whose memorials would be being, or saints or persons of saintly virtue at least, whose memorials would be getting celebrated today, if it wasn't for the fact that today is the feast of St. Augustine of Canterbury.
Yes.
Now, remember in our previous discussions on saints that those blesseds, they're just waiting for that one more miracle. So maybe if you feel up to it, you might want to consider learning more about them and maybe developing a devotion to those blessed so you can, pray to them and possibly give them more opportunities to, spread the word of their saintly virtue so that you can help up the opportunities for them to become a canonized saint.
Yes, I mean, they have the advantage that I could pronounce at least half of every one of their names.
Yes.
Or you could even look one up to learn more about them besides how they are pretty much the same as everyone else in that group that was martyred that day.
There you go. So go down below, hit the subscribe button, the bell next to it, so you get notified tomorrow when our next episode comes out. But as I've been saying this week, Easter is going to be coming to a close very shortly. Yay! It's difficult making all this content for 50 days. Some days you just kind of gotta chug on through it. Mm-hmm. Hit that like button because once again, if you feel that this program is something that would be of value to somebody else, by hitting the like and going down below and commenting, you are going to help us reach more people.
Yep. And while you're at it, why don't you comment with a saint that you personally know about that maybe everyone else doesn't?
Yeah. Give us your favorite obscure saint. And until next time, remember to live your faith.
Love your faith.
And share that love.